Our next extract is The Running After One's Hat by G.K. Chesterton. Here, the author is trying to explain us the magic of thinking positively. He, in a very clear and simple way, tries to advocate the optimistic way of dealing with things. He is trying to explain things in a very cheerful and in a humorous way in his extract. And all that he tries to explain here is that we can deal with all the problems and inconveniences in our life with an optimistic perception, and everything gets solved and sorted easily. Now let's have a look at the summary. Floods in London. Now, in the first part of the extract, the author is trying to explain that he was visiting some other part of the country and there were certain floods which had hit London. Now, he saw this with two optimistic ways. One, that the floods had hit London, although he was not there, and he saved his life from a very huge loss. Second optimistic value he drew to it was that he found out that floods are a little romantic. London, though being a very beautiful place, would now seem like Venice, where water is all around and you keep floating around. This is a different way and a very straightforward and a simple way of looking at floods in an optimistic way, where he finds it more romantic and more peaceful to have floods being hit. Moving on, he advocates his optimistic attitude. Now he tries to say that during our daily course we face a lot of things which turn out to us as mere inconveniences like turning out a fly out of your milk or just moving from one place to another. Now this is entirely dependent on an individual's perception that moving a fly out of milk is an inconvenience, whereas he advocates entirely that it can be done to play around with things also. He merely enjoys all these inconveniences in his life through his positive attitude. Running after a hat. Now, he is trying to explain that for some people, certain people who are running after a hat on the train junctions, it is a mere inconvenience. Why? Because their hat has flown away, they need to run from one spot to another. But he is taking it in an optimistic way, that it is counted as an adventure to him in a monotonous life, where he finds a little more merry in just running after his hat in a mere crowded place. He also adds another optimistic value to it, that these people who run after a hat are the ones actually who win all the Olympics. These people who once, if drawn down to fields, will turn out to be good athletes. Right attitude. We need to have the right attitude to face each and every inconvenience, be it an inconvenience, be it an adventure, or any problem in our day-to-day life. For example, he tries to explain this, that for a man who has grown up, will be difficult for him to wait for a train for few minutes, whereas a small young boy will find it more easier and will while away his time easily to wait for a train. Now here comes the perception, the maturity, and the way of dealing with things. He believes that all the inconveniences and the sadness are just a fruitfulness of the sentiments and emotional hurtings. Whereas if we think with a mature mind and if we feel optimistic about each situation, everything can be sorted easily. Solution of other problems. There is always a solution if you look for one, and there is always a scope for improving each and everything. With this, he ends the extract by a very nice thing that says, an adventure is only an inconvenience rightly considered, and an inconvenience is only an adventure wrongly considered. This is all what G.K. Chesterton has to teach us, that we should always live with an optimistic value. Thank you so much, and all the very best for your exams.